So we are finally making a video that we have been meaning to make for literally months and months at this point.
It's honestly embarrassing how long
it really is. You know,
it isn't even like that big of a thing.
No. But it's just like, you know how it is. You plan on doing something and then life happens and you're just constantly busy and you just can't seem to find the proper time to talk about something on video.
And then before you know it, you wake up and it's 4 months later.
Or more than that, whatever it is at this, well, yeah, it's probably about 4 months, yeah. But guys, today we are going to be telling you what happened during our 100-day health challenge, which we did between September 23rd, 2024 and December 31st, 2024.
Here we are, 4 months later, finally making the update video.
Yes.
And no longer putting you in suspense, I guess.
Yes, I'm sure I know a lot of people have been wondering what happened because, you know, so many people wished us well and were wishing us luck on that, cheering us on. And then after a period of time, you know, I've seen in different comment sections of different videos on the main channel of people wondering what happened and so forth. And so that is what we're doing today. I think a lot of people didn't understand why we decided to go on that health journey in the first place. I mean, a lot of people did. It's like, okay, you want to lose some weight or get in better shape. And, you know, that was obviously a part of it. But it really was so much more. My main reasons were I wanted to really test some things with my diet. I wanted to see how I reacted to
certain foods,
taking out gluten and then adding it back in, you know, taking out all seed oils and then adding it back in, refined sugar, you know, just grains in general. What was your main reasons for doing this?
My main reason was a reset, so to speak.
Yeah.
I just felt like we had gotten into such bad habits of eating too much fast food and eating too much sugar in general. And just a lot of stuff that we weren't eating before we had allowed back into our diet. And so I wanted to reset. Breaking bad habits.
Breaking bad habits.
Main goal. And I think in that sense, we accomplished what we set out to do.
We did.
Now, after that,
which we're going to get to.
About,
yeah. I do think we need to also mention, because, you know, a lot of people watching may think this was our first foray into like trying to change diet or whatnot. But I will say, you know, Lindsay and I may not always look like it, but we are very health aware.
Yeah.
We are, I would say...
above average in knowledge of nutrition and health.
Yeah, like I literally, for many, many years, you know, studying health was and it still is, it was a hobby of mine. It was the largest passion I had. I just didn't always implement the things that I knew, which I think a lot of people are like that. You know a lot of good things you should do, and you just don't do them for convenience factors or addictions to certain foods or whatever they may be, right?
Yeah.
And addictions to foods, that's a big one. That's a huge one. But I want to say that Lindsay and I have done everything in the past in our entire relationship, from raw food diets to juice cleanses to just going whole 30. Like, we've done so many different things. So this is not our first foray into changing our diet, and it won't be the last.
No.
I would say out of everything we've tried, this was a very unique thing compared to everything else we tried, you know, in the past, everything. Because, like, we've liked experimenting with things like this from time to time.
So I guess that brings us to the next thing. What did we do? What was our 100-day challenge diet?
Yeah, we never really got too in depth in what that looked like for us. So basically what we did was cut out all grains eventually. At first we didn't. We were leaving a little bit of oats or whatnot, but and white rice, but ultimately getting rid of all grains, because ultimately grains aren't it's not the best food for human beings. I mean, people can do fine on grains, but I would say, you know, out of all food groups, it's one of the least important food groups. And for some people's digestive systems, they don't handle grains very well. And I specifically, I think Lindsay as well, wanted to definitely remove wheat and gluten in general because, well, we'll get into that.
We wanted to see how it would affect us coming back into it.
And so ultimately, we got rid of
all processed food.
All processed. That was the number one thing.
Refined sugar.
No, that was another number one thing. No seed oils. No
seed oils.
You know, that's something that I think a lot of people don't quite understand. Of like, if you're going to cut out anything in your diet, I personally believe it should be seed oils.
But, I mean, as simple as that sounds,
Yes.
you go to the grocery store and it's pretty much literally in everything.
If you're getting
even
packaged.
Organic foods and things that you would think were healthier still have organic seed oil in it.
Right.
So.
By the end, I had even removed dairy for a short period of time. We both did.
Yeah, okay, so we started out with basically meat, vegetables, fruit, dairy, and that's about it, right?
Eggs, yeah.
Well, eggs is part of meat.
Yeah.
I would consider. So that was basically our diet. And for me, personally, you, I think, were a little better about this than me. But for me, I feel like the first couple of months, like the first 2 months, I had way too much dairy. Like I did it because I wanted to make sure I wasn't hungry. But I overdid it on the dairy, and I definitely noticed, like, towards the end when I took it out, I noticed much better results, and also I felt better. So
yes, I would say that outside of the initial results you're going to have, the start of something, a change like that, a lot of that's water weight from removing so much salt from processed foods out of your diet. And a few other reasons. You're just cleaning your diet up. But I would say that the bulk of the results you saw were in that last 3 weeks to a month.
I know, it's crazy. Like, I wish I had made changes sooner because, like, for a long time, I just wasn't seeing any result. I'm like, what's going on? Like, this diet is so basic. I should be seeing much better results.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the difference between us too. Like obviously we both want to get healthy. And that's a big part of it, and heal things, and feel better, more energy and whatnot. But I think we both had slightly different main goals, probably.
Yeah.
Weight loss is definitely not the top of the goal chart for me. Like I have a little extra body fat, but generally speaking, I'm not extremely overweight. For me, it was energy. That's the big one.
And brain fog.
Brain fog. And just kind of, feeling more motivated, not having as much like anxiety, just overall health and healing. And I think you wanted that, but you also wanted to see weight loss as well.
Right. For the first, I would say like 60 plus days, I didn't see a lot of change at all. Like maybe 5 to 7 pounds weight loss.
I think this is
which was crazy.
I think this is worth really stopping and talking about for a moment. What you're talking about here, it really was insane. I mean, we're talking about completely and utterly transforming a diet from eating snacks, chocolates, and to literally not any processed food.
No added sugar.
No added sugar. No seed oils. Nothing but fruits, vegetables, meats, eggs, and some dairy.
I do think the main part of it was I was just eating too much dairy.
Too much dairy.
Yeah.
That could have been.
Because I was eating cottage cheese, full fat milk, regular cheese, Greek yogurt, like all these things.
Yeah.
That were adding a lot of fat to my diet, and I think that was a big part of it. It was just too much fat, probably.
Yeah.
But,
maybe
live and learn.
Yeah, but like I've seen Lindsay have amazing results in different periods of time.
Yeah.
Again, I do want to say this. Like, it's not that we know what we're talking about with this type of stuff. It's the implementing it on a long-term basis that's been the issue, right?
And also, I've noticed, especially now that I'm into my 30s, it's definitely a difference for me in the results I see. Like, it's a lot harder to see results, I feel like. Like any other time in the past that I've tried doing a health challenge or doing any kind of diet like this or health change or whatever, I've noticed easier results.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it is just my hormones are out of whack.
I was going to say.
It's something that I think that going forward, that's going to be my main focus.
Focus on hormones.
Balancing my hormones and getting that like back to baseline.
I think we all could benefit from focusing on hormones. Like, I'm quite a bit older than her, and I can attest to that as well, that as you get older, things don't recover as fast.
And when I heard people talk about that, when I was in my 20s, I heard people talk about that. I was like, oh, it can't be that different. Like,
It is.
can't, and it is.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah, yeah.
It's
But
definitely a wake-up call.
but you know, some people it takes much longer periods of time to get to that place. But I do believe that you know, working on your hormones as you get older, that is the best thing you can do because your hormones basically, you know, it controls everything. They control everything.
I think one thing that's really messed me up with my hormones is fasting in the wrong way. Like trying to do the male fasting regimen for so many years.
Right.
And I think that's just totally wreaked havoc on my metabolism and my hormones. And going forward, I want to study more of like, what's her name? Dr. Mindy Pell's and Glucose Revolution. I've got that book. I want to focus on glucose levels and maintaining balance. And so I feel like we're getting really long-winded on certain things.
We are, guys.
We're going off track a little.
The issue with this is such a spur-of-the-moment video that we really don't have it planned out. I was having the worst brain fog you could imagine.
Yeah.
You know, like I was starting to notice when I would edit videos. And I noticed this even now afterwards. I noticed an improvement in my ability to recall words quickly during this challenge, and then afterwards, it started getting bad again. And when I look back at my earlier videos, like you know, from 2 years ago, it's amazing how much worse my brain fog and my ability to recall words got. And it's. I believe the diet, what happened was, number one, I'm lowering inflammation, so my brain is less inflamed. I'm giving it more of the fuel and just nutrients in general to feed it. But I specifically think that, you know, grain brain is a real thing.
Yeah,
I believe that grain brain is a real thing. I noticed that when I'm consuming less grains, doesn't even matter, but specifically gluten, specifically wheat, all of a sudden it's like a light bulb goes off and it's like clarity.
And I think that's a good point that you're making. Like, I got really focused on the scale and not seeing a change in the number. And I think it overshadowed the changes I was feeling internally through, like, my brain and cognitive thinking and the clear-headedness.
Yeah.
And then lowering inflammation. It wasn't as good as I hoped it would be inflammation-wise, but the clarity and the brain fog going away and having more energy, I definitely noticed. And I just think that you don't, in the moment, realize how much it's improved until you go in and add things back into your diet and see how, oh man, this was really affecting me. I didn't realize how much better it had gotten.
Yeah.
So that is a point, like, even if you're not seeing results on the scale, it's good to tune in and focus on what's going on internally that might be better. Yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, something I'm going to add in the future is creatine. You know, creatine has been well studied. It is very good for cognitive function. It's very good for memory. It's very good for recall.
Yeah, I need that.
Yeah, I did too. I guess we should quickly wrap up why we decided to go on this diet and what happened afterwards, right? Yeah. But yeah, for me, it was energy, mental clarity, and obviously just to heal some aches and pains, a little elbow pain and stuff like that. And there were some other things that I'll get into in another video about certain things that I've had going on with me for a long time that I'll talk about that. You know what I'm talking about. Improving sleep and whatnot as well. But for me, weight loss was going to be a byproduct. It wasn't so much what I was after because it's not really the most important thing for me.
Yeah. And my main hopes out of the 100-day challenge were weight loss was a big one. Just improving my mental fog, so to speak, and raising energy levels and reducing inflammation. Because I've had pretty bad inflammation for the last couple years.
And digestive issues. I'd like any digestive issues to go away. Basically, just feel better. Feel great,
Like we should feel.
Yeah, like everybody should feel. Yeah. Everybody has a birthright to health, in my opinion. It's just that we, as humans, nowadays have such easy access to things that we shouldn't do. And it's not all just diet. There's a lot of other things going on besides diet that we need to change. Yeah. We don't sleep enough. We're under this artificial light all the time. We sit way too much. and we don't get enough movement in. It's not even about needing to go out and do some workouts. It's about movement, period,
And
even
being in
lightweight.
nature.
And being in nature, forest bathing. Oh my goodness, that's one of the greatest things in the world. All this stuff, you know, that we as humans have lost the connection to. Over time, it causes a very, very detrimental shift in your health.
So subtly that you don't even really notice until you
don't.
wake up one day and you feel like crap and you don't
Yes.
know why. What has happened since then?
Oh, goodness,
It
guys.
ended at the end of last year in December. We went for a week or so, kind of adding one thing back in at a time to see
right. That
how it would affect us.
That was something I always planned. I planned on like, okay, I'm going to add the gluten back in. I'm going to add, you know, dairy back in. At that point, I got rid of dairy for a period of time. It wasn't the entire time. Few weeks on that.
3 weeks.
Yeah, because dairy's not something for me that I find to be too problematic. But I wanted to nonetheless test it. It's nothing like, for example, grains. You know, I'm definitely not a big fan of grains in general. So anyway, adding all this stuff back in, and I even wanted to test seed oils again. That's the great thing about a 100-day challenge. Once you get well into it, you get so far away from all the stuff you don't want to consume that
you're like,
it's
I don't
easy.
I don't even know why this was a problem for me.
I did want to test myself, and I think you did as well.
But the thing that I found the most surprising once we were adding things back in is I noticed that avocado oil, when it was heated, not when I made it with salad dressings or raw things, but when it was heated, it caused me to be very mucusy, which is so strange to me. But
I would say that, we saw good results, but what happened to those results, Lindsay?
pretty much gone with the one.
Yeah, it gone with the wind.
I ended up losing about 20 pounds during
25.
Maybe at one point during the 100 days, but yeah, we've just totally tanked that. And
yeah, I lost about, which I didn't have a ton of weight to lose, but I lost 12 pounds and 3% body fat, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but like the main thing was, again, it is amazing how much different my brain is working right now. My brain is not firing on all cylinders compared to when I was consuming a cleaner diet.
It just feels hazy.
Yeah, we do feel a little hazy.
Tired.
Yeah, I would say that very, very low energy compared. I've always been a really high energy person. Like I'm like you probably catch wind of that on certain videos. You probably tell that, okay, this guy might be a little wired sometimes. That was me all the time. Up until the last few years, I've been much more down than I'm used to being. And it's something I definitely want to improve. And, you know.
But it ain't over.
No.
We're not giving up.
Yeah.
You know, it's never too late to start over again, so.
No, you always start over again if you let yourself go back to something you know you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And it's not about being perfect, but sometimes it's good to be perfect for a short period of time. Because if you have, in today's society, how many people have food addictions? Practically everybody has some form of a food addiction, even if it's a mild food addiction. And a lot of times people, that's what I say. Even if people don't realize,
because you've never had to take it away or try to take it away.
Try taking away someone's coffee, which I'm like, ugh, coffee. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm thankful. That's one I don't have to actually deal with because I can't stand coffee anyway. Mm-hmm. I'm not addicted to, that's funny. I think that's an interesting one. I don't think, neither of us are addicted or even care if we have to take away any sort of like flavored beverage of some sort. Yeah. Except my shake. I enjoy my shake with my cocoa. Yeah. The cocoa is one of those mild addictions.
Caffeine is still a thing.
A little bit. But what else do we need to say, guys? I'm telling you, we're going to forget something, even though this video is long. I don't think there's anything
else to say, but if there's anything we missed that you have questions about, feel free to ask.
Yeah, and we definitely have some videos we need to make. I would really like to touch base on like what's happened to us in our different ways, but in this case specifically health type of stuff.
Health history.
Lindsay had something happen to her early on in our relationship that was a huge deal, and and she was on fire at the time when it comes.
Not literally.
No, but she was on fire at the time more than any time I've ever seen her on fire in our entire relationship when it come to being healthy. She had become the complete and utter healthiest version of herself she had ever been up until that point and since. Like and something happened that completely threw her off. And it completely.
But I mean, it was so long ago. That's an excuse.
No, I'm not saying that would be the reason why you wouldn't do it now. But I'm saying if
that's just what totally killed my trajectory.
Yes, if that hadn't happened, you were on the path to where I think things would have been completely different.
Yeah.
You know, you remember that.
I do.
And I'm sure she'll share that on a video at some point. Hopefully, you guys now understand what happened during our 100-day challenge. And I don't even think we just mentioned this, that yes, soon we are going to be going and doing something again because I'm tired of feeling, I tested this, man. I tested this, and this is the most amazing thing. I tested all these foods, what it felt like to go from having them, taking them out for, months, and then putting them back in for a number of months. And I can 100% say with all certainty that I do better with no grains. I do better with no grains. I do better without potatoes, even though I like potatoes. I do better without white potatoes. I do better without certain fruits. I do better with a lot of meat in my diet. I think I do decent with dairy, but I think I would do better with A2 dairy. Yeah. I love cooking with ghee now, and tallow's cool. I don't feel good when I consume a lot of seed oils.
Yeah.
I think seed oils is the one thing, if I'm removing anything from my diet, for the most part, that's it. I mean, I think that's the absolute number one thing to remove. The canola, the corn, here in the U.S., the cottonseed and soybean oils. Those things.
Even sunflower seed oil.
Is healthier. Yeah, even that one. I mean, the olive's okay. It's not a seed oil. That's a fruit oil. Avocado, again, is a fruit oil. Up until modern history, up until the last 100 years, actually less than that, the last 50 years, and in some cases even less than that, we've never consumed this much linoleic acid. We always consumed way more monounsaturated and saturated fats instead of the polyunsaturated fats. Yeah. So, guys, enough rambling from us. We thank you for checking out this video. We hope we answered any questions you may or may not have had about what happened. And we will be doing something again. And hopefully going forward, when we start moving in this healthier direction, hopefully we will do some things, maybe, show you some foods we're
share
getting.
A little more about it.
Yeah, I'd like to. It's just that I think everybody with kids knows that you mean to be able to do something and you just aren't able to get around to it.
Yeah.
Which is why we're making this video at midnight. So
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's it for us today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have some questions that we didn't answer in this video, which I'm sure someone will have, because I'm sure as soon as I press stop recording, I'm going to remember something I wanted to say. It always happens when you make a video like this. But as of this moment, I can't think of what we didn't cover. I'm sure there's something.
Probably.
Yeah, but guys, feel free to leave your comments, and please hit that like button. We would absolutely appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We'd like to have you on this channel as well. But I think that's it for us today. Thank you so much. Until next time. Peace.
Bye.